Hello everybody, welcome into Watch Me Wednesday, episode number 74. Today is going to be fun. I'm going to show you a little quilt block tutorial, and I hope you really enjoy it. I just got back from 4 days in Connecticut. I taught a 3-day Judy Niemeyer boot camp. And these ladies did fantastic on their technique of the month. I am hoping that you guys can all hear me and see me. If you're there, please let me know, because my Wi-Fi again is causing me problems. So tell me that you're there, and so that I can see that you are in. Otherwise, I'm going to have to stop and then start all over again. So is anybody there? Just because, oh, Sue is there. Oh, good. So I can see that people are joining in now. My Wi-Fi connection is really bad, and I keep forgetting to call the cable company and get out here. So welcome in, everybody. How are you? So I was saying I just came back from a weekend in Connecticut, and I taught there. I taught my annual Judy Niemeyer boot camp. And thanks, Sue. That's really nice. Hi, Laura. Good to see you. Hey, Lisa. Good to see you again. Hey, Nedra. So anyway, today is going to be kind of fun. I'm going to do a little tutorial for you. Hi, Trish. Welcome in. This tutorial is going to be fun. It's going to be pretty easy to do. And I think that, I hope that you all like it. So hit the share button, because some of your friends might be interested too. I'm going to show you how to make this cute little block. It's from one of my patterns. It's called Floral Delight. And if you look at the pattern, it looks like you've got 9 blocks of flowers with different centers. It's a really sweet block. You can do, you know, entire quilt, and I especially love my border on this quilt. So I want to show you how to make one block, and it would actually, and this would be, well, as you saw in the pattern. So when you see it in the pattern, you see I did it out of my Olive Flutter fabric collection, and it would be a great scrappy quilt, because you can create different, each one of these blocks can be different flowers. So you can make it larger, make it smaller, just make one block. I actually didn't measure the size of the block. I know it's in my pattern somewhere, but I want to show you how to create the block. So this block works up to be, whoops, I always say it in the beginning. The block works up to be 8 by 8, okay? Well, the block as I stated in the pattern without the sashing. But anyway, I'm going to show you how to create this. So who wants to see how to do it? Raise your hand, and we'll get going on making this quilt block. And I hope you all like it. I did this one out of my Feline Fine collection from Island Batik. And it's just really sweet. So anyway, let's get rolling, okay? So I'm gonna turn the camera down, and because I wanna show you how I have it set up here before I go ahead and start joining the block together. It is a snowball block that I put together in, I do, you know, 4 snowball blocks, but by simply changing the center out, it looks like the center of a flower, and I chose a green center for this one. So anyway, let's go ahead, and I'm going to flip the camera down so you can see where I'm at here. So what I did here, just so you can see, is I laid out a block. And so basically you're going to need 4 squares for your flower petals. And all the dimensions are in the pattern, so you'll have those to refer to in the pattern. Then for each petal, so you have the petal background, but then you have 4 more small blocks, 3 of which are the same background and 1 which is the center of the flower. Then you have sashing and cornerstones, okay? I'm going to show you how to put together one of the snowball blocks. The first thing that you need to do with all your squares is you need to draw, let's see if I can pick this up, if you can see it on this one here. You need to draw the a line on the diagonal through that corner block. Now, something that's super important on this is how you place the square onto your background block. So I'm going to pick up this one and I'm going to show you. I'm going to take 3 of these off of here so that I can show you the placement. So it's super important because the edge of this block, or the edge of the square, needs to be completely aligned with the edge of the petals. So these 2 edges need to be completely aligned. If they are not aligned, you're not going to get the perfect petal block to come out. You can't see any of that petal behind it, and you can't overlap it either because there's no trim down on this block. So in other words, overlapping so that you can see that the background block. So you need to have the edges of the background block and your petal block completely aligned when you're getting ready to sew. Okay, so that's really important. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take you over to my sewing machine and I'm going to show you how to go ahead and sew these blocks onto the petal background. Okay, so let me bring you over here and hopefully you can see on my Epic 980Q, I have loaded it. I have my 1/4-inch foot on the machine, my single hole throat plate. I have 50 weight Aurifil thread. It's in a, I have it in a neutral gray. It's the 2600, which is I use pretty much for all my piecing. It's 50 weight. And I not only have a 1/4-inch foot, but I've also taken my stitch length down to 2.0, not 2.5, which is the default. So what we are going to do is we are going to sew a 1/4-inch, or I'm sorry, we're going to sew right on the line because when we trim down, we're going to trim a 1/4-inch away. So if you haven't shared the video yet, go ahead and share it so that others can join in and watch on the tutorial. So we're going to go ahead and sew right down that. Now, what I would be doing and what I did with the block that I showed you originally is I chain pieced all of the blocks on the same side, and then I just kept rotating. So I would chain piece this side, and then I would rotate all the blocks, put the next one on like so, lining up the edges. Remember I said so important to line up those edges. It needs to be perfect. Let's strive for the accuracy, right? And then you're going to go ahead and sew right on that line again. There's very little fudge factor here. So, although I do love fudge, but there's very little fudge factor in this particular block. Okay, so now we've got that one done, and we're going to keep rotating this around until we have all 4 on. And I'm, again, lining up those edges. So I'm lining up that edge, and I'm lining up that edge. Okay. And I'm sewing right on that line that I created. All right, so once we get to that end here, then we're going to add that last square on, which is the center of our flower, which I chose a different color for. I chose the lime green mice in my collection. And you can see the pink petal background is the pink kitty faces, which I love very much. It's probably one of my favorite fabrics in my line. Sewing that right on the line. Now that that is sewn, we're going to go ahead and take that off. And then the next thing we're going to do, first I'm going to put my rotary cutter over here. We are going to take it, I'm going to take it to the ironing mat. And I always like to set my seams, okay? So I just set my seams down first. Then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to put our ruler right on that line and cut a 1/4 inch away from that line. So I'm going to back this camera up a little bit because I want to show you. I'm going to take off some of these off of the cutting surface. I know I worked here when I'm doing my tutorials, I'm working in a little bit more of a cramped space, but I want you to see what I'm doing, okay? Hey Lisa, how are you? Okay, so you're going to take your ruler and you're going to lay it. Actually, I probably should take these off of here too, because you're going to get the idea once I'm done with this what we're doing. So I'm going to take the ruler and I'm laying my 1/4 inch line right on my sewing line, and I'm going to go ahead and trim. Now, you've got these little guys left over. Just set them aside because I'm going to show you something that you can do with those afterwards, okay? So you're going to go ahead and trim down all your blocks, just like that, laying that 1/4 inch line right on your sew line and trim a 1/4 inch away. So you have your 1/4 inch seam allowance, okay? And do that to all 4 sides and just set these little triangle pairs away. And I will show you in the end what we can do with those. So now you have something that looks like this, okay? And what we need to do at this point is give that a press, okay? So I'm going to take this, set it back here. Sorry for the cramped quarters, everybody, but I really want you to see all this. So I'm going to bring you back over to the ironing surface. And what we're going to do, oh, and I forgot my Mary Ellen's. Just hang tight there. I'm just going to grab it over here, because you know how much I like my blocks to lay nice and super flat. So I'm just going to press that open. I'm going to press it towards the triangle, not towards my petal background, not towards my flower petal. Now you can see that I have created this snowball block. But what I'm going to do first, you see how that wants to come back? I'm going to mist it with my Mary Ellen's Best Press, because I love that stuff. If you have never used it, you definitely want to give it a go, because watch, it's like magic. It just lets your snowball lie nice and flat, which I love, okay? See how beautiful that looks? Now there is no trim down. If you were accurate in your sewing on this and your trimming, you will have a perfect block. So let's go back here, and I'm going to show you. So this is the bottom block here, which goes in towards the middle, and then you have your sashing. So what you're essentially going to do is you're going to create 3 more of those snowball blocks. Then what you do is you're going to put this together just like you would a small quilt. Basically, you're going to sew your cornerstones to your sashing. So let me put these cornerstones, or the sashing, back down here so you can see. You're going to sew, oops, I've got a cornerstone there. You're going to sew row by row. Once you have all these completed, you're going to start sewing your sashings to your blocks, okay? And I got a sashing hidden under here. And you're going to sew, so you sew your sashings to your blocks, okay, in a row, and you sew your cornerstones to your sashings. Now, this is very important, and I want you to see. So you're going to press, when you press these rows together, you're going to press everything towards the sashing. even the cornerstones and the blocks, they all get pressed towards your sashing, so that when you join the alternate rows, so the sashing and cornerstone is a row, and the blocks and the sashing is a row. When you join them, all these seams are going to nest. So you get really, really good outcome because you've pressed everything towards the sashing. That's really, really important, okay? So now, that's how you put that block together. But I said I was going to show you, and I'm going to take these away because I want to show you what you're going to do with these little trim offs, the little triangles, because that's a little bit of a surprise. So let me pick these up. This is one of those things where you don't really need to waste anything, right? So wouldn't this be fun though? So this quilt, so here's the quilt again. Wouldn't this be fun? As I show you here, each flower is different with a different center. If you were just trying to get rid of some of your scraps that you have to create a cool scrap quilt, right? Wouldn't that be really, really fun? And if you don't have batiks or my batiks, it's not a problem. You don't need them. You got scraps. How about K-Facet fabrics? You all know that I love K-Facet, right? That would be beautiful floral blocks, right? But I think it's a great way to get rid of some of those scraps that you might have. Then, once you've created all these blocks, I'm going to set these aside because I'm going to finish this block up afterwards. You know, once you've cut all those off, let me show you what you can create with those. So I set this up before because I sewed them together. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to sew these together down the long edge, and you're going to press them towards your darker fabric, and then you can play. And what I did was, this is my number 1 row, so you're going to see a pattern start to form here. I have half square triangles, okay, move this over just a little bit. I have these half square triangles, and this is kind of like playing with my diamonds in the rough pattern. And a lot of you I know did that quilt along with me, and you have that pattern. And this is very similar what I'm doing here. So you can create a little some secondary blocks just from those trimmings that you took off the snowball block. Okay, because that is super cool, right? So can you see what's forming here? Then all you got to do is sew each row together, and you can have a beautiful little quilt. So if you make all of these blocks or more, you'll have plenty of room to play and make more blocks that are just like this to create a whole nother quilt. So I'm going to move the camera back up. I hope you've shared this video because I think this is such a cool block. Now you get to see my ugly mug again. Hi everybody, it's me again. So I know you get to hear my voice, but you don't always get to see me when I do these tutorials. But anyway, I love this. Oh, thanks for the love, guys. So I really had fun making this block, and making the quilt just turned out beautiful. So for those of you who don't or have never gotten my pattern, I will put a link above me that you can purchase the pattern if you like. Gives you all the yardage amounts to make this size quilt. This size quilt works up to be 50 by 50, so it's not a large quilt. You can certainly make it larger if you want, or you can even make just a table runner. Wouldn't that be cool? Just, you know, a small table runner out of 3 blocks, 4 blocks maybe. That would be awesome too. Or you can even make it bigger. So if you've never ever purchased my patterns, you get full color graphics in it on how to cut and put together everything. And you can not only buy this like this, but you can get a PDF download as well. So I would love to see if any of you decide to go ahead and make this block, and what you make it out of, I think it would just be super cool as a scrappy block. I think, or a scrappy quilt, I should say. And then using those little trim offs that you have that I gave you, making a second quilt from them, if you will. Anyway, I'll put appropriate links above. Please share for me. I would love for others to see what we made here today. And I would love to see your renditions and theirs if they so choose to make it. Would be awesome. So I hope you guys have a fabulous, fabulous week ahead. I know that I will. And I will see you back here now. Oh, and happy Easter to everybody this weekend. I know Easter is this weekend, and a lot of you will be celebrating and getting together with your families. So enjoy your families. Have a great, great Easter, and I will see you here again next Wednesday at 1:30 Mountain Standard Time. Bye all, and thanks for stopping in. Happy quilting.